Hey everyone, welcome back to Blue Sky Flips, where I sell items on eBay for a profit. I find these items at thrift stores, yard sales, my local Amazon bin store, and estate sales. Now today I'm going to talk about the 4 things I did to turn this slow election week into a booming week where I sold 11 items and made $420. Stay tuned to the end as I have thoughts on President-elect Trump and how this might affect Canadian resellers. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. We often like to blame everything else for our failures on eBay. We like to blame the algorithm, we like to blame that, thrift stores are overpricing everything, and everything else, all these external factors are to blame for why we are not doing well on eBay. Well, the truth is, as any business owner, you need to adapt with the times, you need to be open to change. If something is not working with your business, you do need to make some changes, and you need to look inside and look at yourself and see what you're doing wrong and what you can improve, and this is how you'll actually improve your business on eBay. So this is what I did. I looked deep down in myself to see what am I doing wrong, what can be done better, and how can I improve eBay. And so I decided to do these 4 things that I'm going to describe to you of how I improved my sales, and this drastically improved my sales for eBay. The most important thing you need to have on eBay is good photos, because this is how buyers will find your product, and they are only going to look at your photo for about 5 to 10 seconds, so you really need to make sure these photos are good. Also, the Google algorithm favors photos that have a white background, so you really want to have a white background on eBay. The way I did this is I use a photo box that has a white insert, and then it makes those really bright white photos. And I also added an additional light in the background so that I can shine light directly on my product and make them look even better. Now, I have been doing this for quite a few months, but my photos are not as good as they could have been. So what I did this week is I actually went on eBay, and there is a little brightness tab, and you can slide that over and it will brighten your photos and make them look super sharp and super good. And after I did this, it actually made immediate sales on some of my stale or older listings. So I highly recommend to do this if you are struggling with sales on eBay. After your photos, the next thing that you can do to improve your sales on eBay is to improve your actual eBay listings. The first thing you would do is try to improve your titles. You want to make sure that your titles are search engine optimized, that you have all sorts of keywords in them. Your titles do not need to be proper grammatically correct sentences. You can pretty much just cram all the important words that you need, make it very concise, and use all 80 characters that you can to fit every little bit of information you can in there. And try to think about, if I was a customer looking for this product, what would I type into Google or eBay to search for this? And always have those words in your title. The next thing that you can do to improve your listings is to add in some item specifics. So just the key ones that you need for your specific item. But these are things like your model, the type of product, the color, the size, like all those little filters when someone searches for an item on eBay that they can filter out to get exactly what item that they want, like a size 9 shoe, and then they can filter it all out. Well, these will help customers find your product on eBay. So it's very good to add some of these item specifics. There are some that aren't that useful, like things like unit. Not all items will have the MPC code or things like that, so you might just want to leave those blank. It is a lot better to leave things blank than to put an NA or a non-applicable, so just make sure you're adding just a few specifics that are important and then leave out the rest, as it's a waste of time. The next thing that you can do to improve sales on eBay is to accept offers. Now, I always have accept offers turned on my listings, because you need to think about what eBay is as a marketplace. This is a marketplace that people are going to because they do not want to pay full price for an item. They are looking for a deal. So you need to give people deals. Giving them 10 to 15% off on your item will often trigger a sale. And when eBay eBay sees that you're starting to trigger more sales by accepting offers, they'll actually start to push your listings more because they know that you're someone that is making sales, and ultimately that makes eBay money. So they're going to help you out with that. So always make sure to accept offers. It pushes your sales numbers up. That being said, there are a lot of people on eBay that will send you really lowball offers. Like I'm talking 40 to 50% off of what your item is. So I'm not saying to accept all of these offers. You can always counter offer them and try to meet somewhere in the middle or get that price that you really need to remain profitable on eBay. But if offers are reasonable, I would accept one even if it might be a bit lower than what you like, because this will trigger more sales where you can actually get maybe a higher one or one that you didn't take as low of an offer on. The last thing that I did to improve sales on eBay this week was to tackle my death pile. Now, a death pile, that is when eBay resellers, we often get addicted to buying new stock and we love the thrill of the hunt. So a lot of resellers will just keep buying, and some of those items that are a little harder to list or harder to deal with, they start creating a pile in your inventory, and it just keeps growing because every week you just start getting newer inventory that is a lot easier to list. So what I suggest is when you have a slow period and extra time with eBay, or your sales are slow and you want something to do, go through your death pile, list this, deal with it. You will trigger sales because you're creating more listings, and often a lot of this stuff was actual good product that you found, but nobody can buy it if it's not listed. So you need to do this. So now we're going to get into my weekly what solds this week. I sold 11 items for $420 after I implemented those 4 things that I talked about earlier in this video. Now the first item that sold is Tales of Vesperia for the Microsoft Xbox 360. This sold in 4 months. It only sold for $6, but it was from my personal collection. But with these items, the shipping on this was $9. That is more than what the customer actually paid for the game. So it makes these products not very competitive when you have these old, less desirable video games. I would highly suggest that you put these into a lot or a bundle. So you can bundle 5 to 10 games or something like that, sell it for a lot more, and then video game stores or other eBay resellers will buy these lots from you. They sell a lot faster, and then you only have to pay the shipping once, which is a lot more achievable for the customer. So I would definitely be putting these in lots moving forward. The next item that sold is this Hasbro Sor Revenge card game. Now I bought this for just about $1 at the Goodwill bins, and it sold for $11 in 3 months. Now I don't tend to shop at the Goodwill bins as they do sell a lot of clothing, and it's not really what I like to go through. I find it very time consuming at the Goodwill bins. It is also very competitive with the resellers there. A lot of them are very high stakes, very push you out of the way. Like, it's just not an enjoyable experience for me. However, the Goodwill bins, it's like about $1.50 a pound. You're paying by the weight, so this is like a cheapest way you can get inventory. Some people have found things like a Nintendo DS or Game Boy Advance, or they found Pokemon games in these bins, video games. Like, there can be some epic finds at the Goodwill bins. It's just not really for me at this point in time. I really do prefer the Amazon bins. That is my jam. I love to do it, and it's what I'm going to continue to do for the foreseeable future. The next item that sold is this Cuisinart DLC 7 Pro cutting blade for a food processor. Now I bought this from my local thrift store. The food processor was just about $20. So what you do is, if in doubt, part it out. So you part out the entire food processor, and people will use these as replacement parts for their device that has broken or their blades that have gotten dull, because these old food processors are a lot better than the newer ones that they make. So people are always looking for these replacement parts rather than buying a new product. So you sell the blade, you can sell the slicer discs, you can sell the bowl, you can sell the chute, You can sell the motor. So I've sold all of these products separately. The bowl sold for $45. The chute sold for $40. We have this blade that sold for $10. The slicer disc sold for $15. So I mean, I'm already over $100 in that I made from this, and I only spent $20 on this. These are grails for me. If I ever find these, I'm super excited to find one. The next item that sold is this Microsoft all-in-one wireless keyboard with a trackpad. Now I found this at a yard sale for $5. It sold for $22 in just about a month. My biggest thing with this one is when you are out at yard sales, always make sure that you divert your gaze lower below the tables, because this is often where you can find some hidden gems, and you'll find items that people have not picked over because everybody is always looking up and on top of the tables, but people will put stuff under tables, especially since they're trying to protect their electronics from like a hot sunny day or something like that. So always look below the tables at your yard sales and you'd be surprised at what you could find. The next item that's sold is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now this sold for $80 and is sold in just 1 hour. Now this is a very rare and highly sought after game. It did come from my personal collection. So if you do find this in the wild and you do find it at a reasonable price, I would pick it up immediately, but I'm not too sure that you might actually be able to find one, but always keep your eye out. You never know what you might find out there. The next item that's sold is this Black & Decker under-the-counter can opener. Now, this I bought for $10 at Value Village, of all places, and it sold for $35 in just 22 days. These are awesome items to find. The one thing with this item is this was one that was sitting around. It wasn't getting a lot of traffic. It wasn't selling. As soon as I updated my photos and made them brighter, like I told earlier in this video, this sold immediately, like that. So honestly, this was proof in the pudding that this is what you need to do to increase sales, and it works. Now this next item that's sold is this Collective Minds Strike Pack mod for the Xbox One or Xbox Series XS controllers. Now these are little paddles that you put on the back of the controller. To be honest, I don't exactly know how these work. I am a PlayStation diehard. I don't really play Xbox anymore. I don't really like the exclusive games that have been coming out for Xbox compared to the PlayStation, which has had some amazing titles come out. But this one sold for $32 in about a month, and I bought this for $20 at my Amazon bin store, so I didn't really get that much for this. This item was a pain in the butt. I was getting lowball offer after lowball offer. It was like $10, $12, $14, and people just kept sending these to me. Eventually I got this offer for someone in Colorado for $32. I decided to accept it and just get this item out of my life, and this actually triggered more sales on eBay. Like I was saying earlier in this video, how when you accept offers, eBay is going to prioritize you in the algorithm and actually trigger more sales for you. So although I didn't make as much as I wanted to on this item, it made more sales that were more profitable. So it was a good decision to accept an offer on this. Now for item number 8, this is a bundle that I sold. It is the Zeno Saga Trilogy, episode 1, 2, and 3. Now for video games, anytime you see the word Zeno on a video game, that is Xeno, that is coded in your brain that means grail, it means below, it means pick it up immediately if it's not overpriced. Anything Zeno sells. These are amazing RPGs. Pick them up. Now this one sold for $120. It's sold in just 8 minutes. Amazing trilogy. So always be on a lookout for these video games. This one was from my personal collection, and I'm sad to see these go. The next item that sold is Digimon World 3 for the PlayStation 1. Now this sold for $45. It only took 6 hours to sell. These Digimon World games, they are highly sought after. They are BOLO items, so definitely be on the lookout for Digimon games. When you do get into the newer Digimon game titles, I would make sure that you check your comps. Some of them are not as popular, but definitely these old PlayStation ones, definitely grab them. The Digimon Rumble Arena games, those are also really fun games, and a lot of people look for those. It's basically Digimon Super Smash Brothers games, so people love these ones, so always be on the lookout for those. This game was from my personal collection. The game sold that quick, even though the case had cracks on it, and the case doesn't even fully close, but people are just willing to buy it. They really want that disc to be able to play it. The next item that sold for me is this HP 63 printer ink with tricolor and black. Now I bought this for $10 at a different Amazon Bins location than I normally go to. It sold for just $18 in 9 days. Now this new location, it is quite busy. It is a massive location compared to what I'm used to. However, they did have a weekend $10 day, so I was super excited to find a lot of product for just $10. Now with these ink cartridges, I always make sure that the cartridges are sealed because you never know the quality of the product if they're not. They could be dry cartridges with no ink in them, and then you send it and you're just going to get a return from the customer. You also need to make sure that if they are expired, you do put that in your listing. I would prefer to buy ones that are not expired, and luckily these ones weren't expired for another year, so it's perfect to sell on eBay. The next thing that sold is also an HP 63 printer ink that I found at the Amazon Bins for $10. However, unlike the last product, this ink is a sealed in box product. Now you can always command a higher value for sealed in box products, and that is why this one sold for $23 and it took 10 days to sell. Now, one thing that happened with this product is somehow it got put on one of my different shipping policies and it ended up charging the customer $15 to ship. Now, for this small of an item, it'll actually only cost me around $8 to ship it. However, I am going to pocket the difference. I'm going to put this towards shipping supplies and handling. I don't really feel obligated in this situation to refund this to the customer. They bought this as the total buy cost of their product and they were happy with that when they paid for the order. So awesome. Another great thing is this item is another example of when I updated my photos to the brighter photos, and then this ink sold immediately. So we'll continue to do that on my items. So all in all, I transformed this week from a not so great week into a booming week with 11 items and $420 of sales. Now, as promised, I was going to talk a little bit about President-elect Trump. So, as a Canadian, I know this is very controversial, but I am going to start with the pros of a Trump administration. So now that Trump is in, he has promised to lower taxes on Americans, and he's also promised to bring home jobs and a local economy and import tariffs onto other countries. So this should actually help out Americans, create more jobs, create affordability, and overall boom the American economy. Now, if the American economy is booming, this should increase sales on eBay because people have more money to spend in their everyday life to put on eBay. Also, when taxes are lowered on corporations, this helps corporations to reinvest, to innovate, and create new products. Well, a lot of these newer products is going to end up with a lot of used products becoming more available at yard sales, thrift stores, Amazon Bins especially, as people replace their products for these new novel products. Think all these phones that people don't want, well, these new iPhones that are going to come out because of the lower taxes that spur investment. So there are pros to a Trump administration that is the U.S. economy, which overall will spill into the Canadian economy as our economies are so linked together. So now I'm going to talk about the cons of a Trump administration on a Canadian eBay reseller. So the number one thing that I noticed with his policy is he is trying to do a 10 to 20% tariff on foreign countries to the US. Now, if eBay buyers from the States had to pay this extra 10 to 20% on their sale and pay duty, I don't think Canadian resellers will be able to compete at all, because basically, even with the exchange rate that they're getting, which really helps to make Canada competitive because the Canadian dollar is so low compared to the American dollar that they can honestly get a deal even if they're paying a duty when they receive the item. But imagine paying 20% extra plus a duty when they could literally just order the same product from the United States. This will slaughter Canadian sellers because we will have to cut our prices basically 10 to 20%. Prices are already too high when you're buying things at thrift stores, so our profit margins will be completely eliminated. So I do worry about this. In the past, it does not seem like Justin Trudeau has been able to negotiate trade agreements very well with President Trump. So I am interested to see how this will play out. I am hoping that whatever government we do have in the year 2025, that they will be able to negotiate in good faith with Donald Trump, because Canada is America's #1 trading partner. We do provide a lot of value to the United States. So I am hoping that Canada will have some sort of an exception to Trump's new 20% tariff, because this will destroy a lot of businesses in Canada, and this could be really bad for the Canadian economy. And that is my 2 cents. Thank you everyone for staying with me to the end and tuning into my video this week. I know this has been probably my longest video yet, and I'm so glad that you were able to make it to the end. Now, if you found value in my content, please gently hit the like button. We don't want to break it. And hit the subscribe. Now, if you have any input, concerns, questions, anything else you want to chat about, please leave a comment and I'll definitely respond. And thank you.